How many people would believe the Bible if they had never heard of Jesus? At first, I thought that this was a question that could not be answered. But then I started to realize in my thinking through the process of it, that this question actually has already been answered. 97% of the people would not believe in the Bible if they had never heard of Jesus. Because my first thought process was, well, I would have to know what level of education the individuals would have had to have in order to truly answer this question. And then that's where the Netherlands came to mind. For those of you who don't know, the Netherlands is a country that over the last 50 years has become one of the most secular countries in the world. And in their process of becoming secular, only about 3% of the population actually believes or participates in any type of religious exercise. What happened in the Netherlands? You see, in countries where a dictatorship comes in and demands that people either believe in this God or don't believe in any God at all, through that dictatorship, the country usually crumbles. And this is not only just in the countries that many like to point out and say, well, look at what, Ming did, and look at what Stalin did, and bringing in atheism and forcing religion out of the country, and look how the country turned out. But even in countries where you force a religious belief, those countries still wind up turning into turmoil. So, what is different about the Netherlands compared to countries like the USSR? Is that they became secular through the people just removing themselves in a natural process. That's it. Just a natural process. You see, when religion was forced on the indigenous people of America, it created a bunch of strife. It created a bunch of issues. It created war. And when we look at those 5 civilized tribes that were forced into Christianity and forced into Western culture, they began to take up some of the identity of that Western culture, which means that they themselves purchased slaves. Many people celebrate Juneteenth as the end of slavery in America, but truly slavery in America didn't end until a full year later, when the last of the 5 civilized tribes, the Chickasaw and the Choctaw, were forced to give up their slaves 1 year after, in 1866, around June 14th of 1866, somewhere around in that time frame, that they were then forced. So they took up slavery. They took up some of the most ill things of this religion, and they then had to be forced to let go. When we see countries like the Netherlands who slowly migrated out of religion, not being forced, but just based on education, based on livelihood, we see that those countries actually prosper more so than countries that have a higher number of people who believe in a religion. Compared to the United States and most other countries, the Netherlands has the lowest incarceration rate, while America has one of the highest incarceration rates. They have one of the lowest crime rates, while America has one of the highest crime rates. The average person in the Netherlands live better than the average person in the Americas. They have better health care. They have better human services than we have here in America, where the overwhelming majority of people in the Americas believe in some type of deity or participate in religious exercises on a weekly basis. But this secular country, where 97% of the people do not believe in the existence of any of these gods or participate in any type of religious worship, their society is actually thriving. Their society is doing much, much better. So I would say that in a society of that nature, where the education of the children comes before the indoctrination of the children, that you will have a 97% who will look at it as fiction, and you will have 3% who will look at it as fact. Now, there are many other countries where you can find the exact same thing. The exact same thing happened there, whether we're looking at Denmark or some of these other countries. There's a Southwest Asian country that fell out my head that is the same, where they became secular and they are prospering, but it fell out my head right then. But do your research and you'll find that those countries that moved to secularism naturally are doing better than most countries where there is a high level of belief. But do the research and you'll find it. Subscribe to the channel, And always remember, you have to free yourself to be yourself, because your greatness is non-negotiable. Good journey, good vibrations.